Hey everybody, my name is JR Suppa, and I am the host of Mike's Mini History Lessons podcast. Now the title might be a bit confusing because it's Mike's Mini History Lessons, and I'm not Mike, so I wanted to give everyone who listens a brief clarification of what this podcast is really about. See, I have a friend, and his name is Mike. So far, so good. Mike is a special education teacher, which makes Mike a much better person than myself and most other people. Mike also has 3 college degrees. Now, you don't need 3 college degrees to be a special education teacher, but on top of being a really good person, Mike's an overachiever, so he has them anyway. One of those degrees is in social studies, because Mike's favorite subject is history. Hopefully you guys have put 2 and 2 together by now. Mike loves history, and so do I. Now, I don't love history enough to have a degree in it, but I still find it fascinating. But Mike loves history so much so that when we're at a friend's house or a party or just hanging out, Mike starts to maunder on about some obscure thing that happened at some random time in history. Now, generally, I like to listen because I find it quite informative and pretty interesting. My feelings are not always shared by the rest of the guests and the partygoers, and sometimes I actually side with them because, well, time and place. But since I started 4 Guys Media Network, I realized I now have the means to provide Mike with an outlet to tell the history stories and lessons his heart desired on a platform that would allow anyone who wanted to hear them the ability and save those who didn't from standing uncomfortably with a smile on their face as they scan their surroundings for an excuse to duck out. In other words, it's a win-win for everybody. So when I approached Mike about my idea to do a podcast together, he seemed generally interested and pretty excited. But beyond being a special education teacher, Mike is also a husband to a wonderful wife and a father to a beautiful little girl. So needless to say, Mike's card is pretty much full, always. So how do you create an outlet to brain dump all of the wonderful and sometimes obscure historical knowledge when you barely have an hour to yourself every day? Well, that's where I come in. Mike makes a lesson plan with about 5 minutes of information on it, and JR turns it into a fun story to tell in a podcast. Which brings us full circle to Mike's Mini History Lessons with me, JR Suppa. So this is the format. Short blurbs about a brief time in history that many people might not know about because it's either not taught in schools, or if it is, the same amount of time is spent on it in the classroom as we will on this podcast. So we hope you all enjoy listening to the podcast as much as we enjoyed making it. Oh, and one final thing. If you are a history buff and know of some interesting and obscure historical event that you want to hear covered on this podcast, email us about it at 4guysmedianetwork@gmail.com. Chances are Mike knows about it too, and on the off chance he doesn't, both of us will be eager to learn about it. So thanks again, and enjoy. Hey guys, thanks for listening. If you have any suggestions or topics for us to cover, email us at 4guysmedianetwork@gmail.com. If you're on the go, you can subscribe to our shows on iTunes. Be sure to check out our Patreon page, 4 Guys Media Network, for access to exclusive content like minisodes and more. We have a lot of goals to hit, so we can keep improving and continue providing more content ad-free. So all of your donations are greatly appreciated. Make sure you subscribe to the 4 Guys Media Network YouTube channel for all of our other projects by clicking the link on the right. And lastly, if you want to watch another episode, just click the link on the left. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.